Hey guys! So today I'm going to talk about a game that I haven't talked about, at least not that much, and it's actually a pretty big game. A lot of you have asked me to talk about it, and I actually had it written down for my subscriber wish list, but I'm not going to be doing the whole list, the subscriber wish list, in December. I'm just going to be, I am going to be doing your guys' requests, but just throughout, I'm going to be using those as ideas. So don't expect all of them in December, because I just won't be able to do it. But I'm going to be talking about Fallout 3. I can't talk too much about it, just because I didn't beat the game, but I played maybe like halfway through the game. So I could mention a few things about it and what I thought about it so far. It's been a while since I played this game. I played this game early this year, I believe. So yeah, I didn't play it when it first came out. Fallout 3 was made by Bethesda. It's an RPG. It's pretty, I don't want to say it's classic traditional RPG, but in a sense it kind of is. Because it's got your customization, character customization system. It's got it doesn't have turn-based combat. It has real-time combat, which I hear that it's different from the previous Fallouts. You have the leveling up system, and it takes it to pretty much the next level, the leveling up for Fallout 3. This is where the perk system was pretty much made popular in Fallout 3, kind of like in Skyrim. They're basing it off of this type of system that they used for Fallout 3. It's a game where you could roam around and just do whatever you want. It's a huge game, like a lot of Bethesda's games, and it's a sandbox. You could go wherever you want. There's a lot of side missions, pretty long main quest. So it's a pretty big game, but in my opinion, it is worth it. It's a very good game. I love the concept of Fallout 3. I haven't played many post-apocalyptic world games, but in my opinion, Fallout 3 was, Bethesda did a very good job with it, and especially because of where it takes place. At least that's what I think. I think the setting just does it for the game. It's a retro-futuristic world. Because they say retro because it's kind of like they're stuck in the past, yet it's I think this takes place in 2277, so it's in the future, but it's kind of like they're stuck in the past because of what happened, because of this war, the Great War, which pretty much lasted only like a few hours. I think it lasted less than 2 hours, and in this time it pretty much destroyed the world. And the reason why was because it was pretty much nuclear war, radiation, everything, and it just killed everything. And a lot of things happened before the Great War for Fallout 3. There was the resource wars, where people were running out of resources. The United Nations disbanded. There was a plague in the United States that pretty much made everybody paranoid, and Canada was annexed. A lot of things happened before the Great War, and in the Great War it was a war between the United States, China, and other countries, and it pretty much destroyed the world, and just leaving a wasteland behind. And that's what I love so much about Fallout, is the setting. When you're walking around, when you're in the wasteland, you see these, especially when you get down to downtown, like when you start seeing, when you reach DC, when you start seeing the monuments and these buildings where you're like, oh my god, that's the Capitol, and it just looks pretty disturbing, because you stop and you think, and you're like, what if this happened one day, or what would happen? Like, it would just be so creepy. And that's one thing that the Wasteland has, is that it's creepy when you're walking through it, especially with this little apparatus that you have on your arm. Is called the Pip-Boy. You listen to a radio station, or a few radio stations. In the beginning, you could pretty much only listen to one, and you could listen to these songs, and this guy named Three Dog, he's like a radio announcer, and the music for this game really adds the feeling that I think Bethesda wanted to get out of people, and that was just this disturbing type of feeling, this strange out of place feeling where you're just like, I'm walking through this wasteland, I don't know what's gonna jump out at me. There's a lot of creatures out there that have been distorted and evolved and morphed by radiation, like these huge ants, huge spiders, crazy monsters that will freaking kill you, like the Death Claw. There's a lot of things that are really dangerous about the wasteland, and you just walking and you're listening to the radio and they're playing this music that's like 60s and 50s music, and it sounds so happy, like you know, like cheery music, and you're just like, and sometimes it's in the night and it's even scarier, and you're listening to this music. It reminds me a lot of BioShock. BioShock does the same thing. You're listening to this music and you're just like, this doesn't fit. It just makes everything so distorted and so out of place. It just enhances that feeling of mysteriousness, of not knowing what's going to happen, of having to expect anything from the game. So the music does a lot for the game, and not just the actual not just the music that you hear on the radio, because these are songs that are actually, you know, from the 50s and 60s, but also the soundtrack. And I think the soundtrack is amazing for Fallout 3. It's the composer is Enon Zur, and if you've seen my previous videos, you know that I'm a huge Enon Zur fan. He did the music for Fallout 3, and it's absolutely brilliant. It just adds so much to the feeling of the game. It pretty much takes place in the East Coast, like around Washington D.C., the Southwest Maryland, Eastern Pennsylvania, and Northeast Virginia, so that whole area in the east of the United States. And just for them to show Washington, D.C., because, I mean, when you think of Washington, D.C., you think of the heart of the United States, right? Like, that's where the government is, that's where the power is, that's what pretty much represents the United States flag, is Washington, D.C. And for you to go there in this game and for it to be destroyed, I mean, it really makes you think about how much people need this control, like a type of you know, to prevent chaos, like something, just knowing that there's something out there that is keeping things under control, you know, to whatever extent. But when you see that it's destroyed and there's pretty much nothing there, it just really it's unsettling, because you're like, what if that were to happen? That'd be scary. And you having to fend for yourself against these crazy things. There's mutants out there that are huge and want to rip your head off. But yeah, I love that concept. Especially in the setting that they put it in, mixed with that retro feeling of this place being stuck in the past. Another thing that I really like about Fallout 3 was the Vat System. It was a part of the combat system. It was kind of like a pause, like an in-combat pause, where it would pause. Let's say you were gonna kill a monster in front of you, you were to push the VATS button and you could zoom in on any part of the body of that monster, and it would give you like a percentage of how much damage it would do. So if you were to shoot the guy in the head, depending on how close or far you are, different percentages were higher and lower. If you just wanted to incapacitate someone, you'd shoot them in the leg or something like that. I would always get up close and personal with my shotgun and just pop them in the head, like point blank. And then a lot of times it would go in slow motion, and you'd see your character like with like a mutant with a shotgun in his face, and just boom. But it had a very cool. They also incorporated this in Skyrim. That like finishing move where it does this cool move and then it does it in slow motion and you can see your character and all that. You could customize your character in the beginning. You can make them look however you want. This game is also first person and third person, but it's pretty much made to be played in first person because the third person is kind of, it's not that good. It's kind of like an Oblivion where it didn't really work. So I played it in first person. A really good thing about this game was the customization freedom that they allowed the player. You could pretty much customize anything. You could create weapons, things that you find out in the wasteland, like you find empty lunch boxes, you find bottles, cans, anything. Anything that you think is junk could actually serve as ammo, depending on the weapon that you create. Like you could create this weapon that actually shoots lunch boxes or shoots anything you want. You could use ammo, whatever ammo you want. So you're not thinking, if you were to have this weapon, you don't have to worry about not ever running out, or you don't have to worry about ever running out of ammo because you could pretty much use whatever you find as ammo. So you could create different weapons on weapon benches. You could upgrade weapons. You also the equipment that you wear, you could be wearing just like this jumpsuit, but it could increase a certain stat. This is another thing about Fallout, is that the customization of your character when it comes to this character stats is very precise. By that I mean that you not only could level up your strength, you could also add a perk. There's a lot of perks. And by perks, if you haven't played Skyrim, if you have played Skyrim, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, they're just these like added bonuses for you. Like if you want to, you could focus on different types of, like you could focus on upgrading your heavy weapons, or you could focus on upgrading your medicine. Like how much damage you do with certain types of weapons, that type of stuff. There's different types of perks. One of them was like it would all of a sudden out of nowhere, sometimes when you were in vats, like this guy would just pop out of nowhere and just go crazy shooting everybody. There was a lot of perks, and all of them, they weren't all just focused in damage or anything like that, but some of them, like I said, they were focused in medicine and that type of stuff. And also in charm and like convincing people with the way that with what you say and all that. So it adds to you leveling up just your stats. And your stats is called the special, and this is an acronym. It's strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. And they all they all do something. If you increase your strength, you get to carry more weight, because like traditional RPGs, this game does go into that whole that you run out of slots to carry things, or weight, like you're carrying too much weight and then you can't move. It's kind of annoying, but it's kind of realistic at the same time, because you can't just carry everything you want. There would be no challenge there and no prioritizing. Perception was like it allowed you to see further when you're walking around, and I believe it also showed up. You could also see your enemies on your little map and stuff like that. So all of these you could level up, and then on the side you could add the perks. The main story has a great storyline. I didn't finish it. The reason why I didn't finish it was because other games were coming out, and I put it aside. I was like, I'll play it later, and I put it aside, and I started playing these other games. But since Fallout is a pretty old game, it's kind of hard for me to go back to it, especially now that there are so many new games that I have to play. I have a huge list of games that I have to beat. So Fallout is a game that I definitely will go back to play, just because I fell in love with the story. I fell in love with the setting, the environment, the concept. And I really, really want to know what happens. Like, I still remember exactly where I left off. I still remember what was going on. I remember that I left off on this side quest that was regarding like an android. I think they called them. I can't remember exactly, but it was like this. Yeah, I think it was an android, like a robot type of person. And you were talking to the doctor that had created him, and there's these questions of whether the android had escaped, and whether he had like any rights, and the doctor was like, he's mine, I made him, you have to bring him back to me. But the android actually wanted to be free, like he was starting to get like a mind of his own and stuff like that. So it goes deep into different types of issues, and I really like that. And this game does incorporate that whole good, or whether you're good or bad, but it doesn't keep tabs on you, showing you you're a bad person or you're a good person. You could do whatever you want. You could have up to 2 followers. I don't want to say party members, because they really don't. They interact with you, but they're not deeply developed like, say, BioWare games. But so that's why I call them followers. They do follow you around, and every now and then, I mean, you do know a little bit about them and stuff like that. And they help you. They're just backup. They could die. And the second follower is a dog. His name is Dog Meat, and I love dog meat. I was always so scared of having him get killed, so I would always, tell him to wait off in a safe spot, and then I'd go check the area first. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's a very, very fun game. If you haven't played it and you like RPG games and you like sandbox games and you have some time to spend playing this, I would definitely recommend it. Try it, because it is a very good game. If you're not into RPGs, don't play this game, because this is a very a pretty big RPG. It has all the elements of an RPG. This is more of an RPG than, say, Mass Effect or Dragon Age. So yeah, if you're not into that, don't play this game, because you're gonna get bored. Because it is a huge, huge game. I obviously haven't played Fallout New Vegas, but I have heard a lot of good things about it. I really want to play Fallout New Vegas, but that's not going to happen until I beat Fallout 3, which I will, but first I have to finish my games that I have, or at least get further into them, because if I wait till I beat, say, Skyrim, forget it, because that's going to be who knows when. But one day when I have enough time that I'm not focusing on these other games that I just got, I do want to go back and play Fallout 3. I am going to ask you guys to please keep the comments spoiler free, because I haven't beat the game yet, and maybe there's other people out there that haven't beat it either, or haven't played it yet and want to play it. So please keep it spoiler free. So yeah, that's pretty much it, and hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll talk to you guys later.